Hi, my name is Josh Matthews Morgan, and I'm the author of Deliver, How to Perform Your Best When It Counts the Most. I'm also the co-founder of Learn Your Brain. And what we do at Learn Your Brain is we actually study people who thrive. We study peak performers no matter what field they're in. And after a lot of research, I've discovered the single number one most important thing that you can do in order to have long-lasting, authentic success in your life. And that is, you need to develop a very strong sense of yourself. And the most important thing you can do to cultivate this sense of yourself is to start cultivating the habit of not caring so much about what other people think of you. And it can be a really hard thing to learn and a hard thing to put in practice sometimes, but it's the most important thing for you to do in order to be successful in life.
We'll help you learn your brain. You'll never be the same. We'll help you learn your brain.
People who have been titans in their field, people who have been successful throughout the centuries, have said this is the most important thing that you can do. Whether you talk about a Steve Jobs in the tech world, or an Einstein in the world of science, or a Virginia Woolf, who's a famous author, they all agreed that you have to listen less to the opinions and all the chatter and the noise from other people around you, and more to your own inner compass, your own intuition that tells you what's the right thing for you to do. So I'm going to give you three reasons today, three reasons to start cultivating this habit of really not giving a rip what other people think about you. And the first reason here is that it's really an impossible task. It's an impossible task to win the approval of everybody. A lot of people think that they have to constantly prove themselves to other people. In fact, if you read a lot about sports, and I do a lot, you'll see a lot of athletes, they're quoted in the paper saying, we're got to win this game to show the world what we're all about, or we got to prove ourselves to the world so everybody takes us seriously, And what they're really saying is they want everyone to think that they're awesome, right? When you boil it down to that, and everyone really does want other people to think that they're awesome. But the problem with all that is it's impossible to get some people to like you. It's impossible to win the vote and the approval of everybody. Sometimes people are really just incapable of giving you that love, and it's got nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. To give you a story from my own life about this, when I was in high school, there was one of my coaches in wrestling was a real mean mamma jamma, one of those guys who didn't give much love and affection at all, who always, no matter how well you did, it was just, not even a pat on the back. Just try harder next time. Do it more. Do it this, And I think a part of me really wanted to win his approval, because I said to myself, if I can get this guy to like me, this guy who never shows affection to anybody, that'll accomplish something pretty big that most people haven't accomplished. But the problem with that is it didn't really happen, because I realized years later that this man was almost incapable of giving me the love and the respect and the admiration that I wanted, because he didn't feel it for himself. That was a huge lesson for me to learn. Don't try to make other people like you. Don't try to make them think positively about you. If they can't see your value, it's their fault. It means that their vision is messed up. They're seeing you in some kind of screwy way. You're a brilliant person. I just know you're a brilliant person, but not everybody will be able to know that, because their inner vision is sometimes so messed up. The second big reason why you want to give up the peanut gallery and let go of what anyone else thinks about you is that it really is a hollow thing to pursue in the first place. See, what matters isn't what other people think about you. It's what you really think about you that's going to determine how far you go in life. So if you don't admire and respect yourself, can you really expect someone else to give you that same love and admiration? It's almost impossible, right? There are some people who spend a lifetime, begging other people to like them, practically demanding it, twisting themselves into awkward positions and trying to, do everything possible to make someone like them. And when a little bit of affection comes their way, it's just such a hollow feeling because they're looking for love in all the wrong places, guys, right? They haven't first taken the time to find admiration and love and respect for themselves. And here's the other cool thing about this, that if you really start cultivating the sense of personal power that comes from not really caring what other people think about you and just focusing on your own inner value, you become incredibly attractive. You become incredibly charismatic. Have you ever seen those people who walk into a room just exuding that aura of, I'm here and I have a lot of value to give to the world, and if you don't care about me, if you don't see my value, that's your fault? That's an incredibly attractive thing. People will naturally be drawn to you if you can cultivate that. The takeaway from this is, don't worry about what others think about you. Worry more, focus more on what you think about yourself. The third and final reason why you should start ignoring the peanut gallery more and more is that it's the number one quickest way to put the brakes on your success, to keep you stuck in struggle and frustration. True success really comes when you get in touch with that core of value that you possess, and when you decide, this is who I want to be in the world, and this is what I want to give to the world. It doesn't come from worrying about what other people will think about your work or about you as a person. I say all this, but it still is a really tricky thing sometimes to live by. And in fact, a lot of people who are already very successful people, they sometimes fall into this trap of worrying about other people's opinions. I'll never forget sitting down to read Oprah magazine, and there was an interview with the author Elizabeth Gilbert. And if you don't know her, she's the author of Eat, Pray, Love, which was the runaway bestseller book that ended up becoming a movie, with Julia Roberts and all these famous actors, and so she said in the interview that she sat down to write her second book after Eat, Pray, Love, and she got through the entire book, and she started looking over it and reading what she had written, and she realized all of a sudden that the whole thing, she wasn't writing it in her own voice. That all the lines and all the jokes she had put in there, she wrote them and put them in there because she felt like that's what her audience would want to read, and that's what her audience would laugh at. It wasn't the authentic writing that she had done in Eat, Pray, Love, where she just poured her soul out and she decided, this is the message that I want to give the world. It was, her caving into what she thought other people would want to hear. And in her own words, it was really garbage. So that's where it ended up, in the garbage can, and she had to start all over again. I tell you this story so you can realize that all of us sometimes fall into this trap. And it's especially easy to fall into the trap when someone who is closest to you is the one who's perpetrating all the problems, right? Sometimes it's the well-meaning people that cause the most problems because they convince us that really they're right about our own lives and that we don't really have a say in our own lives. But the problem with that is that nobody really knows you on a deep level like you know you. Nobody can really understand your talents and the way that you're wired. They've also probably forgotten that the single most important thing for creating long-lasting success is desire. And if you don't have the desire to do something or to become something, you can spend a lifetime working on something and it'll never amount to anything. You won't be successful with anything because that basic premise, the basic foundation of success is that you have the desire. So I want to wrap up today by encouraging you to develop what I consider the greatest form of courage. And the greatest form of courage is not how many people can you get to like you. The greatest form of courage is being true to yourself, even in a world that demands that you conform, and even in times when people closest to you might doubt you. See, it's your life after all. And if you start by cultivating today the habit of ignoring the peanut gallery and not giving a rip what other people think about you, it's going to free you up to pursue the things in life that you're most passionate about. It's going to allow you ultimately to have the greatest impact in your own personal life, in your community, and even the world.
We'll help you learn your brain.